Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the GGB Supplier Showcase. I am pleased to be joined again by Andrew Crowe from Sightline Payments. Andrew is the SVP of Investor Relations and Growth Initiatives for Sightline. Andrew, how are you doing today? It's good to see you again.
I'm doing good. Not bad for it's Thursday, I think, right?
Yes,
Only 3 more days in the work week, so we're doing
exactly.
good.
That's
Very
right.
busy, but good.
So when I had you on before, it was right before G2E. We were kind of previewing the show a little bit, talking about what was going to be going down for you guys. It's a few weeks past the show now. Can you talk a little bit about how it went, how the weeks since the show have gone?
Yeah, this was our biggest show ever. I think both in booth presence and attendance that we had, both clients and prospects that we met with along the course of the way. And it was the first time where I really think we brought together and jointly presented that payments and the mobile side of thing. I think as we've talked about before, particularly when it came to cashless, we recognized the importance of the user experience, and that led us to the acquisition of Joingo. So we brought Joingo into the fold, into the Sightline family, and have rebranded that Mobile Plus. We're live with the Mobile Plus. I think it's at 100 casino properties now, with another 30 in the queue. And it's a great foundation for future cashless delivery, but it's also a great foundation for digitizing that player experience across loyalty, across food and beverage, hospitality, et cetera. So great show, a lot of activity, a lot of energy. And then we came out of that into Money 2020, which is one of the largest fintech conferences in the world, and had a great presence and time and exposure there. And that was right on the heels of our JP Morgan announcement. So we announced another funding round when JP Morgan has invested in Sightline as well. So the momentum is strong, the excitement is there in the industry and within Sightline.
So you mentioned a few different things there, and I kind of want to parse through them a little bit and kind of go into a few of them in more detail. Starting with cashless, obviously it's been a big trend within the industry for a few years now, but when in terms of adoption, only a few properties have actually gone live with the technology. Can you explain a little bit about kind of why that is and why the progress has been a little bit slow, and also what Sightline is doing to kind of solve those problems?
Perfect. I'll start with it. I've alluded to user experience already. There is a keen interest, and we can talk about Resorts World in a minute also. There's a keen interest in making sure that we get the user experience right. And it's, you can think of your own experience with mobile apps, et cetera. If it doesn't work, you don't use it. So the good news is the technology works. We've really got to focus on refining that user experience. And we have a number of large operators that are waiting to see that improved experience for the customer before they're ready to jump in. And to be clear, that it's not like you implement something and then you're done and it's all figured out. This user experience is going to have to continue to refine and improve over time as new technologies emerge, other things get added to the app or digital or mobile experience, other payment methods or technologies come into play. So this is going to be an ongoing investment and evolution for us. The second is probably a bigger issue, not a bigger issue, bigger challenge, and that's the cost, the CapEx related to installing cashless on the casino floor, the integration with the CMS platforms, any hardware that needs to be added. It can be a significant investment for the operator. So a lot are waiting to be a little more confident in what player adoption will be, again, tied back to user experience. Before they want to sign up for that investment. But we recognize that, and we also announced Project 250. So we're going to put our money where our mouth is. Put my money where my mouth is. We're going to invest in and subsidize in the CapEx, the cost for these operators to get cashless installed across 250,000 machines over the course of the next 3 years. So significant investment by us, investment along with the operator to subsidize that significant CapEx that they may face for that.
And you touched on Resorts World earlier. It's a major Las Vegas Strip property that's a big deal, and you guys have been in development with them with cashless. Can you talk a little bit about how that's been going?
I can, yeah. First, I want to compliment their food court. I'm obsessed with the Resorts World food court. I eat there every time I'm in Vegas, at least 1 or 2 meals. It's fantastic. So it's based on a Malaysian street food concept. So if you haven't been there, I'd highly recommend it. The Resorts World, so starting with the very, very good news is the technology really works well. So I can, within a matter of seconds, decide I want to play on a slot machine, open the app, connect to a slot machine, and push money on it. So the technology is working really well. The area of focus for us is that user experience. In the initial release, along with the Resorts World launch back, I guess that would be last July now, there were two areas of friction which we quickly noticed and were affecting time to play, which is kind of the way that we're measuring ourselves now. That friction came in two areas. The first was enrollment. Under Nevada Gaming Control Board regs, based on mobile sports betting regs, they were requiring that a customer be physically ID verified on property before they could complete the enrollment process and fund the account and start this cashless experience, which worked okay for most people, but a lot of people had to go to the cage, had to fill out a wet signature on a form, et cetera. It was not smooth. So the good news is, working with Resorts World and with the Nevada Gaming Control Board, we got them comfortable with some of the modern digital identity verification platforms that are there. Specifically, LexisNexis is what we're employing. And back in January, the board changed the regs to allow for this cashless on-property experience. You can have a completely entirely digital enrollment experience. And it's even better from a data entry standpoint. You scan the front and the back of your driver's license, you take a selfie, there's a biometric comparison of your face to your ID. Your enrollment information is pre-populated from the data that's on the ID, so it really simplifies the enrollment process for the player. I think in the latest testing, so right now that's going through final testing and then final review by the Gaming Control Board. I believe we have, from the moment I say I want to download the app to when I'm ready to play a game, I think we have that under 4 minutes now. Our goal is to get even further under 3. So, but a dramatically improved enrollment experience. The second one was the presentation to the player of two different wallets, if you will. There's the Sightline Play Plus account. That's the core of the cashless system of how you get external money in. But then there was also a quote unquote gaming wallet. And that was the wallet on, or the account sitting on the CMS platform, sitting on Konami, tied to your loyalty account. So when we connect to a slot machine and you're moving money from Play Plus onto the slot, it actually, we know it's you. The machine and the mobile app know it's you. And we're connecting through the CMS platform, through your loyalty account, and through a specific gaming wallet on that platform. So you have all of the audit and control for the funds that are coming into the system. But short story long, that created two accounts for the customer. To get money onto the slot, you had to move it to gaming account, and then you would move it onto slot machines. So an unnecessary second step. Those are being combined into one. The player is presented with one balance, the Play Plus balance. The money will still flow through that gaming wallet on the back end, but it's a pass-through. It's invisible to the consumer, and they don't have to make that second click. So dramatic improvement on both the enrollment and then putting money onto a gaming machine or into a table game as well. Both of those are part of the release that I said are in final testing and Gaming Control Board review before they're released to the public. I've actually gone through the beta and actually used it, and it's light years better than the initial release. But as I said, it's important. That's not the end destination, though. We're going to always constantly look for continuous improvement. Omer Sattar, Sightline's co-CEO, has issued a challenge for us to get that time down closer to a minute. So still a little bit of work to go to get to that, but significant improvement and a vastly improved enrollment experience for the player now.
Well, I think it's fascinating from a coverage standpoint. I've been following this, and I think the adoption of cashless, throughout the industry is going to be one of the biggest trends to watch for years to come. I mean, I've had people tell me before that, the world outside of gaming is already cashless pretty much, and now it's just time for cashless to kind of or the gaming to kind of get on board rather. And from what I can tell, the regulators and the control board are eager as well to kind of move this along and get this implemented as well. I believe over COVID, I remember seeing them say multiple times that this is something that they have an interest in getting regulated. So definitely something to watch.
And it's really a partnership with the regulators. It's new technology, and in most cases, the regs don't contemplate this. So it's helping them understand it, get comfortable with it, and give us input on what needs to be modified or changed to get them comfortable with it. But it's very much become a partnership as we, work with Boyd, for example, expanding from state to state. We are side by side with them, engaging those state regulators to make sure they understand it well enough so that they can be thoughtful in how they regulate it, because that regulation is important. But they are eager, or they do see the value in modernizing the gaming floor. You've alluded to this, and it really struck me in that Money 2020 conference. This was the FinTech conference. my airplane ticket was purchased and my boarding pass was on my mobile. I ordered Uber from mobile. I did at the Starbucks at the Venetian. I used my Starbucks app. It's only when you get to the gaming floor that you're reverting back to old cash practices. So I really think to a degree, there is changing customer behavior, but it's really letting the player do on the gaming floor what they do throughout the rest of their life. So I think there's a great, we're on the verge of a big breakthrough with consumers and casinos and getting cashless moving forward.
I think so as well. Moving on to kind of get back to the funding a little bit. You had mentioned earlier with JP Morgan, I remember doing the write-up for that for our site. Can you talk a little bit about that as well and other funding?
Absolutely. That was a big deal, particularly given the investment climate right now. This was an up round for us. And more importantly, it was a strategic investor. We've been working with JP Morgan for some time to look at ways to improve our payment processing, ways to enhance our architecture and kind of integrate with a broader set of payment product offerings that JP Morgan has. And also having somebody as notable as JP Morgan stepping into and supporting the gaming space. I think this was obviously fantastic for Sightline, but also good for the gaming industry in general. They've been a great partner with us so far, and we're looking forward to that deepening relationship as we go forward.
Definitely. I mean, I'm admittedly not as much of a finance guru myself, but I know that credibility, always stands for something, and that
Yes.
definitely is worthwhile.
That's the funny thing too. We're going back to the regulators. Sorry, because we may have talked about this last time.
Mm-hmm.
The gaming regulators don't necessarily know payments. The payments regulators don't necessarily know gaming.
Yeah.
But the great news is these are both very highly regulated industries. So when you bring them together, there's a lot of synergies there. It's just really a matter of getting both sides comfortable and aware of the degree to which the other side is already regulated and figuring out how those puzzle pieces come together.
Definitely. So kind of to finish it off here, and this is, the question I always like to ask, what does the future look like for Sightline, especially in these next few years here?
Yeah, so the focus for us really is omni-channel, and I hesitate to use the word. I know it's an overused consulting term, but it really is not only engaging the player across different verticals on the floor, but different channels as well. So make sure that money and loyalty moves with the player wherever they go geographically, whatever channel they're operating through, be it digital, brick and mortar, whether they're on a casino property or off the casino property, supporting that payments and loyalty experience across all of those touch points with the consumer. Follow the consumer. We're not making them do anything new. So the focus is really omni-channel. I mentioned mobile earlier, that 30 new deliveries in the new year. And then probably the most important thing is executing with excellence on these cashless deliveries and working really hard to get that user experience right. I think I may have said this before to you. The technology, don't get me wrong, the technology is super important and it has to work. And the good news is it really does, but it needs to be in service of a better customer experience, or it's a solution in search of a problem. And so our emphasis really now, the technology works, we've really got to focus on and execute on the user experience for the consumer so we can drive adoption and we can show the market the power of digitizing the gaming floor.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining me here again. I will, myself and everyone around the industry will be watching, as this progress unfolds and as this technology, obviously expands. And again, thank you very much for joining me.
You're very welcome. And let's plan a Resorts World tour when the new app is out. And the next time I'm in Vegas, let's actually let you go through this experience personally yourself. I'd love the feedback from you guys as well.
Of course.
Thanks,
and then we'll hit the food court right after.
And we'll hit the food court. Absolutely.
That's right.
Thank you for joining us for the GGB Gaming Supplier Showcase, our exclusive look at the best products and services produced by vendors for the gaming, iGaming, and sports betting industries. For more information about the GGB Supplier Showcase, contact Terry Brady at tbrady@ggbmagazine.com.